Okay. Yeah, so we're going to have a quick run through Naivate. As I say, Naivate is something that Symetri have been developing for 10 plus years, 15 years, maybe even. And it sits on our existing portfolio. So obviously looking at Forma for the future, we've been developing some of these solutions for a very long time. So for this session, we've got myself. I'm going to give you a quick run through the products, and then we've also got some of our product specialists, so Deborah, Lawrence, Simon, and Dave, that got some actual demonstrations lined up. So rather than just me talking for a long time, we can actually see the products working. And again, just to set some background, Naivate we developed for the AEC industry. We also have Civilia, which we developed for manufacturing, and CQ, which is all around software and license management. So we have got quite a big portfolio of products that can help out in this sort of arena. And the CQ one, if you need to manage your Autodesk licenses or Adobe or SketchUp or anything else, then there's a great product in there for telling you how many licenses are being used and when they're being used, and making sure you have the right number of licenses. So probably good to, if you're managing licenses, to maybe have a look at that product. But back to Naivate. Really, we have this split into sort of 3 areas. So Naivate for Revit, Civil 3D, and also for cloud. Today we're going to concentrate on the Revit and Civil 3D side of things. But again, just a quick mention for the cloud. If you're working in Autodesk Docs or BIM 360 projects, then we've got a cloud manager that allows you to start automating, publishing, uploading, downloading, and managing people, managing members across multiple projects, and really kind of make that a lot easier. So again, if that could be of interest, then that might be worth having a look at some stage. But we'll start off having a look at Naivate for Revit. And we've actually got quite a lot of separate products that sit on the Revit platform. I'm not going to go through every one of these in detail, but we'll start at the top. So Naivate Accelerate, this is our product that will basically suit anybody that's in Revit, working in Revit. It covers the main things like automation of creating views and sheets. If you've got multi-story buildings and you need to create plan views, area plans, ceiling plans for every level, then being able to automate that, being able to place them all on sheets and automate all of that side of things, and automate the revisioning, automate the publishing. They're real time-saving tools that's kind of worth looking at, actually. But alongside that, we have lots of editing data sort of tools that just make working with a product easier, make working with models. So being able to check data using things like the color elements to visually check what's in your model, to see what wall types, what column types, what the fire ratings are just visually in the product, and doing it instantly is a great sort of set of tools there. And then also some of the collaboration as well, being able to work with linked models, taking data out to Excel or back in from Excel. And we've also got a whole tool set called Provision for Voids, which allows you to sort of create and manage builders work openings, which not very glamorous, but something that we all seem to have to do, and it's a pain otherwise. So there's a whole tool set just inside of Naivate Accelerate that helps us do that. Then coming back, we then have some more sort of discipline specific tools. So here are the ones we're going to concentrate on: architecture, structure, MEP, and then the site and landscaping tool. And again, I'm not going to go into lots of detail because we'll see some of this later, but really they work with the Accelerate toolset, and then they give you discipline-specific tools. So being able to manage rooms and areas, being able to work with finishes, sort out the sort of door, window numbering, detail drawing. And again, they might not be the things that you're doing every day, but when you need to do it, they can be pretty time consuming. And these really do cut down on that time it takes to produce some of this data. With the structural product, again, tools specifically aimed around structures, so works alongside Accelerate. So don't forget, you always get the Accelerate tool set with these as well. And yeah, we can create piles based on coordinates from a CSV file. We can automate all of the numbering, extend them to topography, and then work with all the rebar as well, get all of that sorted out, schedule it according to standards, and just automate a lot of the laborious tagging and things in here. The MEP, well, I personally, I've always found MEP a bit frustrating because you're always swapping between plan views and sections, and then you're having to create those views to get it working. Well, the Naivate for MEP just really transforms that modeling of ductwork and pipe work. We can do it reliably inside of one 3D view, and Simon's coming up later on. He's going to show you some of that, and that's going to be a real, if you're working with MEP, it's a real sort of game changer almost. And then the final one we'll have a look at on this set is just the site and landscape. And again, we all know that the topography tools inside of Revit aren't fantastic. They're good for getting the surface there, but then to be able to edit it and sculpt it and turn it into the model that you need is quite difficult. So having tools to automate aligning the topography to other objects or 2D line work, using cut and fill, and also being able to use a lot of those tools on other objects such as floors and roofs, that really kind of adds into the workflow. And we're looking at the 24 version at the moment. That should be out very soon, where we've obviously got rid of the surfaces and it's going into the topo solids, and we're going to pull across a lot of the functionality. So keep your eye out for that. And if you are doing landscape modeling, then certainly look at the Naivate site and landscape. So those are the overview of the main products there. We're just going to mention a couple more at the bottom. So Naivate 0, we've already heard about. Don't need to go into that too much, and I think we're probably going to see more of it this afternoon, but that's our embodied carbon tool that's very, very new to the market at the moment. And then also that's fairly new to us is BIMfire, Naivate BIMfire. And this is really enabling us to create 3D fire safety data in Revit models. So, rather than drawing up on plans and PDFs and marking things up in 2D, it's actually part of the 3D model with all of the relevant information. We can then start to look at fire stopping through fire compartments and keep track of all of the data, which, with the Building Safety Act coming through, it's going to be a real benefit for that actually. So that gives us an overview of what we've got available in the Naivate for Revit. As I say, we'll see some of this working shortly. And then looking at Naivate for Civil 3D, well, we've got some modules in here. And these obviously working in the Civil 3D platform, the AutoCAD based. What I would say is that they all contain a similar or a common tool set that makes it very, very easy to add and edit property data to absolutely any object inside Civil 3D. So that's the kind of a real boon for them all. And then we have the sort of specialisms. So pipe allowing us to automate pipe networks, road is simplifying the design of roads there. It allows us to create widenings for things like lay-bys and bus stops really easily. We have the landscape inside of Civil 3D as well as obviously the site and landscape in Revit. And this is really sort of good for creating all of the planting data and the surfacing and the areas in there. But also the traffic functionality there, and that's great for the sort of road markings and traffic signs. Does all of that in 3D, and then being able to take those forward into things like InfraWorks for the visualization and other products. It's kind of a real good job there actually, and Dave's going to show us some new features I think that are coming up soon. So that's probably enough of me talking, and we're going to hand over and let you see some of the demonstrations here. So, and I think we've got Deborah up first.
Hi, my name is Deborah Moynihan and I'm a customer development consultant here with Symetri. And today I'm going to talk you through one of my favorite features in Naivate architecture, which is the Ruins Drawings tool. So as many of you with an architectural background know, creating your room drawings can be a really time-consuming task when you have to do floor plans, elevations, CL plans for multiple rooms in your building project. So with Naivate architecture, they have developed a feature called Room Drawings, which I'm going to open up here on my screen, to allow you to automate a lot of the processes around this. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to create room drawings for these 4 rooms here on my screen using this tool. So as you can see here, I've opened up the room drawings and I can see the full list of all of the rooms that's in my model here on the left. So the rooms I want to do today are my electrical room, my 2 media rooms, and my storage room. So I'm picking and choosing exactly which rooms I want to generate from my model. Over here then on the right then is where I start to get into all of the settings. So firstly, I'm going to create my room elevations. I've set up 2 things in advance of this today. So I've set up a dedicated section line for my room data sheets. This means that I can go back onto my GA drawings, all my bigger floor plans, and turn those section lines off to keep my floor plans clean. And I've also set up my view templates in advance as well for my room. So I want to then go into elevating my walls. So Naivate gives you 2 options. I can elevate all the walls in the room, or I can pick the 4 main walls. So in the case where you have a room that maybe has 6 or 7 walls, you can choose to do all of them. You can choose to do the 4 main ones. You can also choose to ignore any walls that are shorter than a predetermined distance. So if you have any nib walls, you can exclude those and you're not ending up with an excess of wall elevations. So I'm also going to set my offset. So this is how far it's going to crop on the sides and the top and the bottom in my elevations. And it's also very important to make sure you have your room volume pulled right up to your ceiling or your soffit so that you're cropping from above that. And then the next settings then are my floor plans, my ceiling plans, and my 3D view. So again, I have to do the same thing here. I'm picking my type of view, and I'm also picking my view template. So again, I've set up all of these in advance. It's important to have that done. And again, my ceiling plans, I have everything set to be a 1:50 scale. And the same with my 3D view. I also have a view template set up for that. So then in the last section then of my options is creating my sheets. So again, you can choose whether you want to do this or not. I'm going to create my sheets. I'm going to pick my title block. I'm going to pick my A1 title block today. I want my sheet start number. I want them to start at 1500. And I have a custom parameter in here that I sort my project browser by. And I'm going to group all of my data sheets under this heading in my project browser. So that's all of my settings. And then I simply just hit create. And Naivate will start to generate, firstly, my views. So in total, I'm generating 28 views today for these 4 rooms. Think about how long that might take you to do it manually by the time you crop down your floor plans, by the time you elevate each wall. In the length of time it's taken me to say that, Naivate nearly has all of my views made. You can see my section lines are auto-populating there into my plan. You can create a filter for those later and turn them off. That's easy. And now Naivate has moved on to placing my views onto my sheets. Naivate is also working out how many sheets I need as well, so I don't need to figure that out in advance. I just tell Naivate what number I want to start my sheets at, and it will work out the rest from there. So you can see there now, it's already halfway through. Should be done in a matter of seconds, and I can show you the results. We're nearly there. Again, think about how long this could take you to do manually. And there we go. There is my 4 rooms that have been generated successfully. And if I go over here to my sheets in my project browser, there's the section that I asked it to create for me. And there's my 4 rooms. So first sheet here, my storage room. You can see here now it has generated my floor plans, my ceiling plan, and my 4 elevations. It is also cropped the elevations out to the distance that I asked for. This is why it's important to make sure your room volume is pulled all the way up. And then again, it has placed my 3D view on the next page here. And if I go into my electrical room, you can see I've got everything here now on the one sheet. Again, my floor plan, my floor elevations, and my 3D view. So I have a small bit of tidying up to do on my rooms, but I can basically start to get into now my tagging, my dimensioning, annotating up all of my materials, tagging all of my furniture, whatever I need to do to finish out my package of drawings for my sheets. So I hope this demo has showed you the power of Naivate architecture. And next, I'm going to hand you over to Lawrence Hooker, my colleague, who is going to show you another great tool that is part of the Naivate suite.
Deborah. Okay, so in this little session, we're going to take a look at our piling tools within Naivate. So we've only got a few minutes just to show one particular workflow. So in this case, we thought we'd look at piling, which is particularly painful if you're going to do it manually within Revit. Right, so you can see I've got a 3D structural model here on my screen. And if we just take a quick look at the piling in here, you'll see some of the piles belong in pile caps. And also some of the other piles here are completely loose, as you can see here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to push some coordinates into these piles. Now, again, if you haven't got Naivate, this is literally a manual process. You would have to actually put a spot coordinate tag down on every single pile, which obviously would take some time. So what we're going to do here is use our Naivate Accelerate toolset to actually push coordinates directly into each of these families. So let's go into our Naivate configurator in here. We can open up the Accelerate tab, and here you can see that we have shared coordinates. So you'll notice here there's a number of different updaters, so we can actually have these updating live if we want to. So I could actually say every time I save or print or export a file out, I would like this to be updated. We can also go into the settings to configure this, and what I want to do here is just make sure that I've got my foundation set. And you can see here that although my project units are set to millimeters, of course we really want to schedule these out in meters. So what we're going to do here is just run the updater manually from here. And you can see now, Naivate has actually pushed all those coordinates into the piles. Let's just take a look at a few of those at random. So if I just pick this pile here, and we take a look into our properties palette. Just here on the right-hand side, you can see that I've now got the easting, northing, and the cutoff level for every single pile. So if I just tab key into one of these piles on this nested markup, again, you can see that I've got the same data set in there. Okay, so let's now switch into a piling plane. So in here, you can now see that we've got the plane cutting through all of our piles. If we just zoom in here, you'll notice that I've got some tags placed on here, but of course they're all question marks at the moment. Now, this is the biggest bugbear for structural engineers. We've literally got to sit here and now number up each pile so the piling contractor can then start to bore and cast these piles. Now, how we normally like to do it is we like to actually group the pile numbers by their host. So, for example, here, I've got 4 pile cap here. So I'd want these to be numbered sequentially before we move to the next one. You can see I've got 6 pile cap here. But what makes Naivate really stand out is if we have a look at this particular raft configuration over here underneath the core, we've got a load of loose piles simply just hosted into the foundation slab. And what's really cool about this is it's going to number these up sequentially as well. And very similar with the ground beam. So you can see here I've got 3 piles along the ground beam. So let's see how this is going to work. So now we're going to switch across to our Naivate structure tool set. Now, as I said at the start here, we're only really looking at our piling tools, but of course, Naivate structure has many more tools than that. You see that we've got a whole host of tools here to handle reinforcement detailing. But in this case, we'll start focusing in on the piling tools. So let's now look at pile numbering. So you can see here, we have the pile numbering tool. So I'm just going to click on this here. And we can see now in the dialog box, we can actually start to set all this up. So what I'd like to do here is start from pile number 1. Looking in at the dialog, I can see that Navigate's informed me that I've got 404 piles in this example. So I'm going to need a padding probably set up of 3 digits in here. We want to subdivide piles by host because, like I've said, I want to actually group these into pile caps, slabs, and so on. We're going to include everything at the minute because this is the first time I've actually numbered these up. And we'll start in the bottom left-hand corner. And we'll now go ahead and number all those piles. So like I've said, you can see we've got 404 piles, and literally in 3 seconds, Naivate has ripped through that and numbered up every single pile in the project. Now, this would be a good couple of hours work just to sit there and number that, and that's assuming that you don't make any mistakes. But of course, that's the key thing, because the automation behind Naivate has made sure that the machine has actually given each of these piles the proper mark, okay? So as long as we've modelled it correctly, it will actually number these correctly. So we can see, if we just start looking through here, we can see that, again, all of these piles are numbered up sequentially, which is obviously exactly what we were looking for. If we go up to some of these 6-pile pile caps, for example, you can see, again, sequentially, we've got 303, 304, 305, 6, 7, and 8, and so on. Okay, excellent. So now that that's done, let's take a look into the schedules. So I'm just going to open up in here my piling schedule. So I'll just go ahead and open that. And now we can see that we've got a perfect schedule ready to actually utilise for the piling contractor. So the piling schedule is in Revit. And of course, I want my piling contractor to be able to utilise this. So what we're going to do here is use another accelerate tool here called Export Import. So let's go ahead and select this. Okay, what we'll then do is we'll actually take this schedule. So in here, I'm actually going to export a schedule, but you can see we can actually do this on just a manual selection of entities within Revit. So here, I actually want to take out our piling schedule that we were just talking about earlier on. And we can see here that I can actually export this out for a re-import. Now, what might happen here is you can see at the minute I haven't got that many parameters in my schedule, but I could have parameters that are going to allow me to actually put on things like loading conditions, so I could get the engineering team to actually add those loads in Excel, and then I could bring that back into Naivate if I wanted to in Revit. But in this case, we don't really need to do that. I'm just going to export this out for the piling contractor. So we'll go ahead, click Export here. We're obviously asked to save this, so let's just call this one piling layout, and away it goes. And now we'll actually open up the Excel file and just take a quick look at this. So here we are, and you can now see straight away in Excel, we've now got that complete data set out here ready to go. So what we've now just seen within a few minutes is that end-to-end workflow from actually just having our piles numbered, just having our piles modelled, to now having them actually coordinated. So we've got the easting, northern, and cut-off level on each pile. Each one has a sequential set of numbers, and we've now checked this and push this out to Microsoft Excel. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just hand over to my colleague Simon Locke, who will take you through some of the Naivate MEP features. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Lawrence. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Naivate MEP. And this is another productivity tool for Revit, but it's based around the MEP discipline. So I'm going to show you basically what you can hopefully achieve in 5 minutes using Naivate MEP over normal Revit. So just going to start the video, and I'm going to just talk through what we're going to do. So you can see we've got a drainage layout here. We're going to take a look at getting as much of this work done within the 5-minute period, and then see how much we can achieve. So I'm going to go now. So first what we're going to do is we're going to take a bit of a selection of the existing pipework and copy it over to the other floor drain, just using the native Revit copy command, copying it nearby, because what we're going to do now is we're going to go into Naivate MEP and use Move Connect. Move Connect allows you to move items and connect them into existing pipework. Now what we're going to do, because we're working with pipe with a fall, we're going to use Align with Branch and then Trim Extend Multiple to trim it in. As you can see now, it's all going in nicely. We're now going to use the Bloom command and then bloom out a piece of pipe. And again, we're going to use the Move Connect Align command this time to align the U-bend in there. What we need to do now is we need to rotate the fitting around so it faces in the right direction using Rotate Fitting. And then we're going to basically bloom another piece of pipe out of the U-bend. Again, we're going to go to Align Branch to align it to the main run. You can see now it's dropped down. And then what we're going to do again, we're going to just use the normal Trim Multiple command just to trim it into the main run there. You can see it's connected in nicely. A little bit more work with that one. Next step, what we're going to do is we're going to grab a selection of the vent pipe there, and we're going to copy it nearby. We need to fit this in, so we're going to use a Naivate MEP split with gap command, which is slightly different than the native Revit one. It allows you to do a from and to connect collection there. We're then going to move connect in a couple of times just to connect the pipework in again. As you can see how quickly this is working. And what you may have noticed, we're working completely in the 3D view here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a root 2 command to connect these two pieces of pipe up here, and you can see there it's set up at 45 degrees there. And the command allows you to choose custom angles as well as preset bend angles. We've used an elbow up command there just to basically bloom some pipe out and put some elbows on 90 degrees. And now we're going to use rotate fitting to rotate it around in the right direction. Again, just copying as much as we can to save a bit of time. We're going to move it nearby. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use the move connect command again, just to connect all of that in. This supports pre-selection as well, so you can basically move a chunk of material all in one go. This is the align in 3D command, which allows you to align everything up in a 3D space. And again, we've just used a convert to T command there and a move connect just to connect that back up. So you see we're moving along fast. This is an elbow down at 45 degrees, and we're then going to do a rotate fitting to get it pointing in the right direction. Again, selecting the pipe that's going to rotate around, and it just goes around there, 90 degrees. Just a little bit of a preliminary alignment here, but now we're going to fine tune it using the move connect and the align and branch, and that's going to allow us to actually just align this in nicely. And again, just a trim multiple. Again, just using some of the native Revit commands as well as the Naivate MEP to get things connected. And there we go. What we're going to do is going to connect another floor drain here. So we're going to, again, just save a bit of time, copy a chunk of pipework, and then use move connect just to connect this in. Here we go. Again, what we want to do now is we want to rotate this around so it's actually pointing towards another main run. Again, selecting the pipework, pre-selection, and then we're going to use a rotate fit 90 degrees to get this facing in the right direction. Slightly different connection method here. We're going to go in from a little bit higher. So we're going to move this U-bend up a little bit. And we're going to use one of the more advanced connection options. There we go, moved into position. We need to just choose the routing preference carefully here because we need to make sure that we've got a 45 degrees T in here. And what we're going to do is going to use a roll into main here. So select the main branch. And there you can see what we've got. It's rolling down into the main run. We're going to connect into the stack now. We're nearly done. So we're nearly up to 5 minutes. And then we're going to do a rotate fitting to get that face in the right direction. Now you do sometimes get this going the wrong way. You can see they have actually moved this 45 degrees in the wrong direction. That's not a problem. We just repeat the rotate fitting command and do a 90 degree the other way, just to double the opposite, and it's gone the right way now. Next, we'll just use a line branch. Again, support pre-selection, so it's going to move the whole lot up. And then we're just going to do a trim extend to corner, and then get that connected in. And there we go. 3 floor drains, some vent pipe in, connection into the stack, and connection into another piece of pipe over to the right there. All under 5 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to hand you over to Dave Bosworth, who's going to show you some Naivate for Civil 3D.
I'm Dave Bosworth, Principal Consultant for Symetri in the UK, and I'm here to show you a new productivity tool in Naivate for Civil 3D. Civil 3D has a feature for generating drawing sheets along an alignment, but if you've got a development site like this one, you'll probably want to create drawing sheets that cover the entire site. To do this manually in AutoCAD would take many hours for a site like this, and to update those sheets afterwards will equally take many hours of work. Naivate's sheet tools can automate this entire process, and what's more, will enable you to update or regenerate your drawing sheets at any time. The process starts by defining your drawing sheet template. In this example, we've created our drawing frame and title block, and we've added attributes that we can link to SheetSet Manager. We have 2 viewports in this drawing, one for the main plan view, and another to create an overview or key plan, which will show the location of each sheet relative to the project sheet layout. Using the Navigate Configure Viewport command, we add property set data to each viewport that will define the type of the viewport. We can generate viewports to display plans, profiles, sections, or overviews. The other settings shown here describe actions that will be performed on the viewport when the sheet is generated. These settings can be customized once they've been added. We also add these properties to the key plan viewport, but this will have a type name of Overview as it will have different action properties applied. This sheet master drawing has been created to provide a drawing production model of the design, which will contain all of our design details, annotations and notes. A separate drawing has been created to hold our sheet layout scheme. This doesn't need to be created in a separate drawing, but if we want to use the same sheet layout for different sheet sets, then keeping each separate makes it easy to reuse. The master drawing can be extracted into the sheet layout drawing to enable us to define the layout scheme. I want to orientate my sheets so they're parallel with the building shown here. From the Navigate Sheet Tools panel, we use the Create View Frame command to begin the process of defining the sheet layout. We need to bring in the viewport area, and we can do this from a template, or by using a predefined block, or we can use existing view frames from Civil 3D. In our case, we've selected the sheet template for an A1 sheet at 1:200 scale. The sheets we are generating will have a group name of 100, which describes the sheet series, and each layout will have an incremental number starting at 1. We'll set the viewport name to Plan to match our viewport, and we'll add a label of the sheet number. Finally, we will select Create Array to array a series of sheets across the site. We position the first sheet on the building corner and rotate it to align with the building. We can then move it into position to capture the required site area, and we'll place the label in the middle of the sheet. In the View Frame Array settings, we can adjust the sheet position and rotation, and define the number of rows and columns we require to cover our site. The overlap between the sheets can also be adjusted. In this example, we'll need 4 rows and 3 columns. When we generate the sheets, we also want to create cut or match lines and have them labelled on each sheet, and we can create masking hatches for the cut lines if you want to. Here you can see the cut match lines and labels that will be added to the sheets. At this point, we can remove any of the arrayed sheets that we don't require. And there's a separate command to enable us to renumber the sheet layout if we need to. For our key plan, we're going to use the sheet tools to hatch each view frame. These sheet hatches will be automatically turned on or off to highlight the current sheet in the key plan. So back to our master model, and we reference in the sheet layout to enable us to generate the sheets. We need to import the sheet template as a new layout and then configure the viewports as required. The key plan will only show some very basic layers at a small scale. Using the Navigate Create Sheets command, we can now generate the sheets. The list of view frames to be generated are populated from the sheet layout we created. We can generate all the layouts in the current drawing or create a drawing per layout. Before we generate the sheets, we'll verify our settings by creating a preview of the first sheet. As you can see, Navigate has created this sheet with the correct orientation, the match lines are present, and the key plan has been created showing the current sheet. Everything looks good, so we'll now create all the sheets, adding them to the Sheet Set Manager. Each sheet is generated in turn and saved as a new drawing. For very large projects, the Create Sheets command can be saved as a script file so it can be run in batch mode unattended. Here's one of the generated sheets with the title block attributes populated from Sheet Set Manager. So if you need to generate multiple sheets across large sites, then Naivate will save hours of manual configuration and enable you to regenerate your entire project documentation whenever you need to with a click of a button.